word of life.
Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus told his disciples a parable. Can a blind person guide a blind person? Will not both fall into a pit? No disciple is superior to the teacher, but when fully trained, every disciple will be like his teacher. Why do you notice the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the wooden beam in your own? How can you say to your brother, "Brother, let me remove that splinter in your eye," when you do not even notice the wooden beam in your own eye? You hypocrite! Remove the wooden beam from your eye first, then you will see clearly to remove the splinter in your brother's eye. A good tree does not bear rotten fruit, nor does a rotten tree bear good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit. For people do not pick figs from thorn bushes, nor do they gather grapes from brambles. A good person out of the store of goodness in his heart produces good, but an evil person out of a store of evil produces evil. For from the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
From the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks. Something within the depths of our own soul, at the very center of our souls, how that is flowing, and how the Spirit of God is touching us at that depth of who we are. Whether we're open to the Spirit of God as God is doing that or not will affect very much the flow that's coming up through here. And all the other senses and everything else within ourselves. What is in the heart, sooner or later, flows in speech. The ministry of Jesus, who is the great heart of God, overflowed in his desire to heal, to restore, and to bring back life, joy, and hope. The fullness of our own heart is revealed from personal thoughts and attitudes in the words and actions that affect all our relationships. And that makes clear the extent of our effort in willing what God wills or not. It's just that way. We have to at least make the effort. And in the spiritual life, we express that as the ascetical part of the flow or no flow. The other part that complements that is God. That is more the mystical. But that's going on or not going on as our life flows one way or another, just as kind of there, or whatever is happening within us. But that the Spirit helps us to sift through this and that, like a sieve in the Scriptures, clarify and make the appropriate changes or adjustments. We ourselves choose to grow fruitfully or wither negatively. On this last weekend before Ash Wednesday, we've just listened to, in Luke's account, these three unrelated and separate sayings placed together in the good news that's coming to us, but the good news is, let us consider at least how that affects our lives, the flow of our lives, what's coming out in different ways as we live our days and our relationships. And that may awaken us and purify and transform us into the person God is calling us to be. And God is calling us to be only the person we can be, because that's the truth. In all truth, we can really be no other person. That demands a certain docility or cooperation and not resistance or reluctance. That does affect the flow. That does affect what's coming through here and many other things in our life. Honest effort and God's grace always reap benefits for any human soul, a potential for some change and healthier prayer and spirituality. Moving through the 40 days toward Easter calmly, quietly, slowly, steadfastly will bear some positive and fruitful result. That will help us. What is God expecting of you? What do you think you're going to do for Lent or give up for Lent or whatever at any age? It's just what is possible for you. It's not necessarily under, over. Deep down, perhaps we at least have that common sense to understand who we are. And for some situations, it may be a continual thing of just one little thing. We see this person and we can simply encourage them. There's someone that's away from the sacraments of going to confession, repentance services, a parish mission, many things going on. And we're part of this personally, but also as a community. And not just doing this alone in life. This parish community is attempting to do that in their lives in different ways. And that's the grace of it. It's simply that. What does God expect of me? He doesn't inflate some kind of expectations on his end. It's just that. But we have to at least make the effort. In the Middle Ages, there was a man who would stand on a street corner and he would refine gold. And this gold was placed in a like a fire-heated pot. And there he would do this and using this for a means of exchange and living his life and the way he lived his life to keep on going. For some, that might be a strange thing. For him, that's what he did for a living. And as he was doing this, a little child asked him, What are you doing there? And they said he was removing the impurities that rose to the top in that melting pot. And the child asked, how will you know when you're done? And the man said, when I see my face perfectly reflected in the gold. This purification, this ongoing coming back to who we are, coming back to who we are, back. It's like the gold and the reflection of God, and as people look at us, God in us and who we are is being reflected in a very beautiful, precious way. Throughout our lifetime, with human effort and God's grace, the face of God, who is perfection, is gradually reflected in our own faces and those of many others. I believe.
One God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. I believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, born of the Father.